Before we begin, I'm putting a huge spoiler warning up here. This video is going up exactly 1 week after Godzilla Planet of the Monsters made its worldwide Netflix debut, not to mention several months after its original Japanese theatrical premiere. By this point, I'm going to assume that anyone who wants to have seen the movie has already seen it, so I am going to be discussing the movie in greater detail than usual from this point forward. This is your one and only warning, folks. If for some reason you still haven't seen Planet of the Monsters and you don't want to have everything ruined for you, turn back now. Are they gone? Okay, then we can begin. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and it's time for a follow-up on the first Godzilla anime movie, Planet of the Monsters. As you may recall, I spent the better part of a year mostly being concerned about what direction this movie might be going in. And when we finally got to see it, I turned out to really like it. However, that doesn't appear to be the universal consensus. Based on other reviews I've seen, as well as the microcosm that is the comment section of that initial review, Planet of the Monsters may just wind up being the most divisive Godzilla movie of all time. Reactions have ranged from unabashed love to unbridled hate and everything in between. It's really kind of fascinating. As I said, I liked it. It wasn't perfect, far from it in fact, but it was still a fairly good start to the story. But that I think is something we all need to be reminded of. Planet of the Monsters is only the beginning. We've known for a while now that the Godzilla anime experiment would be a planned trilogy. Basically, one really long movie chopped into multiple parts. Kind of like what happened with the film adaptation of The Hobbit, or the last entries of the Harry Potter and Hunger Games series. As such, there are a lot of things about this film which I cannot really say I've formed a full judgment on just yet, because I have to take into account it's only the first third. A prime example would be the character development, or should I say lack thereof. There is literally no character development in this movie at all. None. 0%. Nada. Zilch. Goose egg. The characters do not grow in any way whatsoever. Aside from Godzilla literally growing over the centuries, but that has nothing to do with his personality. I'm serious, there isn't any. At the start of the movie, Haruo is a vengeance-driven hothead. At the end of the movie, he's still a vengeance-driven hothead. Metphius is as enigmatic and ambiguously gay the last time we see him as he is the first time we see him. Oh, don't act like you weren't thinking it. Trust me, if there isn't fan art of him and Haruo out already, there will be soon. Give it time. And these two are the characters we spend the most time with. Yuko has one line of dialogue which creates the illusion that she's gone through some sort of character arc off screen, but without that line of dialogue there would be absolutely no evidence of it because she's hardly in the movie. Quite frankly, any development she may have gone through might not matter anyway because she's probably dead. Now normally, a complete and utter lack of character development would be a huge strike against this film. However, as I keep saying, it's only the beginning. Of course their characters aren't going to be fully developed by the time the credits roll. If the characters have completed their emotional journeys before we even reach the halfway point, what are they supposed to do the rest of the time? And that's just one example of something I could say about Planet of the Monsters. So even though I think we're off to a good start, you could say the pressure is really on for the sequels. We have officially had an hour and a half of build-up and establishment. Now, the next movie, Mobile Breeding City of Butt-Ugly Robots, or whatever it winds up being called, has to bring things forward. We need Haruo to start questioning whether or not he's doing the right thing or needs to change his tactics. We need to fully explore the implications of Godzilla being a vegetable, because that didn't really play much into Planet of the Monsters either. We need to address that lingering question brought up in the middle of the film about whether or not the Council is corrupt. We need to learn why Metphius is acting like a puppet master manipulating Haruo behind the scenes. We really need a good explanation for the Princess Mononoke cosplayer who shows up in the post-credit stinger. Where the next two movies go from here could very well wind up changing my perception of Planet of the Monsters. Heck, it could wind up changing everyone's perception. Like I said, this is only the beginning, the setup. What really matters now is what happens next. We are off to a good start as far as I'm concerned, so I would certainly like to believe that the movies will continue in a positive direction. But then I stare into the hideous face of this Mechagodzilla, knowing now that it actually is how he's supposed to look and not the result of battle damage, and I can't help but wonder. Still, I'm certainly in a very different place than when I started this journey, so I hope things continue on the up and up. Those are my thoughts anyway. As always, you're free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.